What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. The market is closed, so I felt that today is a good day to let's talk on the future. So I want to go over 2025 targets, what is going to be seen by the market as a positive, what's going to be seen as a negative. I'm going to go over all that. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, I'm sure a lot of Lucid investors are fairly disappointed about the price action that has followed since Lucid unveiled their numbers, because we saw Rivian come in line and beat their expectations, and it went up 25%. Lucid had a very nice run, several days in fact, but goes up 8%, ultimately closes in the red. It's very frustrating of a stock. You can kind of just see over the last 5 days a lot of how it has this push higher and then it goes down, push higher. And so in theory, if you think about it, Lucid did hit their 2024 targets. So they kind of maintained that they were going to do that 9,000 throughout the whole year, and they came in at 9,029. So that's pretty good stuff. But looking forward, I think that is going to be the biggest determining factor whether Lucid is seen as a success or not. Because to do 9,000 at this stage in the game when they were originally forecasting 90,000, I think the market's somewhat like partially clapping, but kind of still somewhat disappointed. In reality, looking here, they're kind of 2 years behind. So they're talking on future models to be unveiled in 2025. That ultimately is that mid-size, so they're about a year and a half ish kind of behind originally, because they have the Gravity coming out in 2023. So beside the point though, if we kind of look back 2 years, they did originally forecast 49,000, and so even if we take that and cut it in half, 25,000 in my opinion is a very good kind of benchmark. So 25,000 for 2025 for the delivery for production targets. I don't think that's too far-fetched. And in my opinion, I think if they come in with that 25,000, the market is going to be pleasantly surprised by that. And if you kind of think about it, AMP2 can do 10,000. AMP1 can do 90,000 because they did complete that phase 2. Gravity uses the same exact assembly line as Air. So in theory, there should be no disruptions. They should be able to pump it all out. So this is where 2025 and their targets will come into great importance. And not only that though, Gravity. So you can kind of see just when Gravity was originally forecasted to come out 2023, late 2023, it already had a huge amount of demand anticipated. So they anticipated 12,000 for 2023 of the 49,000, 49 of the 90, 86 of the 135,000, and then 2026, clearly that mid-size they also have equally high expectations for. But this is where, if you think about it, I think not only is the market going to be very, very critical on their 2025 targets, production targets, but Gravity demand, that's also going to be a very big thing, because if Peter comes out and says, you know what, we're just going to see exactly how the market likes the Gravity, and if they're willing to buy it, then we can produce as much as they can, or as people want. They stated that in the fireside chat in the past. I'm going to tell you right now, if Peter comes out and says and isn't clear on exactly how many Gravities they plan on doing in 2025, the market is going to hate on Lucid, because you can't hype something up and just say, you know what, I don't really know how much demand there is out there. We're just going to see how it goes. I've kind of alluded to and explained it like it's like a lemonade stand. They're functioning, but as far as giving guidance and managing their demand accordingly, it's a flop. So I think in general, Lucid needs to have at least 25,000 for their 2025 targets, and at least 2/3 of that going to be for the Gravity. So that would be considered a very big success by the market, prompting a very nice push higher. Now let's come to reality. I feel that Lucid is going to start at 15,000, and if things go well, they will raise it. So I think if Lucid comes out and says, hey, This is 15,000 for demand or at least what we can do for production in 2025. I think the market's going to really slap them around. So that's just my kind of viewpoint on realistic expectations versus demand and everything. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And do you think that 2/3 of the, I guess, production for 2025 is going to come from the Gravity, or do you think it's still going to be Air? Because if you notice that they are still really pushing the Pure for promotions. So in reality, that kind of signals that maybe a little bit lower demand once again. And I kind of started to look at these numbers a little bit thoroughly. And so I think Lucid right now, the market is obviously very critical of Lucid and likes to pick everything apart. But if we look at the Q4 numbers, even though they did hit their mark, the fact that they did produce 3,300, just over that, and delivered 3,100, this is the first time that you do see a lag. So let's kind of pop this up. So I created this funnel thing right here, so you can kind of see just generally targets produced, delivered, and this column and this kind of right here. That's the first time that they do have a surplus again. So essentially, they've been really kicking and getting rid of inventory during Q1 through 3, but Q4. So I think there's a couple of different attributing factors why the market might have not saw these numbers as good. Possibly demand issues, or when it comes down to it, maybe just potentially like the whole leasing. So they've been doing, I think, 25% leasing in Q4. And so with the whole Trump potentially getting rid of that 7,500, that might be something what the market's thinking about. But beside the point, I feel 25,000 is at least what the market's going to see as a good success. So hopefully we see that. What is your expectations for 2025 production? Do you think it's going to be 15? Do you think it's going to be lower? Do you think it's going to be 60? Like, it'd be really nice if someone actually and truly did believe that Lucid was going to come out and say, hey, we can do 100 and we are going to do 100 for production in 2025. I think the market would just be hesitant about believing them, but at the same time, I think it would cause the stock price to go up significantly. So let me know your viewpoint. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, pop over to my Patreon where I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers, so pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.